Hello, everyone. I'm Nick, and I have a retrofit company that I suppose over the last couple of years have specialised in granite properties in and around Aberdeen, but also a varying range of sort of 60s, 70s stuff that I think the owners probably had thought their houses were better than maybe they actually were. Um, and what Eric was running through there on the preparation to get into that stage of his heat pump is probably what we come across and what we resolve on a daily basis. And we do it to greater or lesser extent, depending on what the homeowner's hoping to achieve. We've also done retrofits, and the heat pump has come after. They've been adamant they're not going to go that route. They've seen the evolution of their house, and then they've gone, all right, let's have a talk about that now. So part of that process would be, are we doing everything in preparation for that heat pump properly? Because if somebody's not going to go that way, the central heating needs to be amended. The plumbing is completely different if you're going to put larger bore pipework in, your radiator sizing. So it's good not to dismiss it completely, because a lot of that would be now interfering with the work that we would have been doing very conscientiously. So when Eric was looking at his house, I think the big thing was he had some insulation in his loft and some in the floor, and struggled with all these issues with the way the house was built and the council and how he could insulate his walls. So what we do, and it's quite hard to put a lot of slides up because everyone's different, is we work with Matt and some other architects to look at what is the best solution for that property. So we specialize in air tightness and insulation work. So you've got lots of opportunities in your house to find out where you're getting cold spots, drafts, and the way that we can improve that is to chase these up. There's a picture on that board down there, but we use a lot of taping and membraning. So we can make your house to a certain extent airtight, depends how invasive we've gone. We can do all sorts of insulation work from under your floor, in your walls, room and roof situations, which are big. But the purpose of doing all that work would be to get that heat pump down to as small as possible to make it as efficient for you to run. I think a lot of the sad stories of heat pumps have been popped into properties where the expectation of running that pump is going to be great, and actually the bills are exceeded expectation because it's driving really hard to try and heat a really cold and drafty house. So if you can wrap that house and make it a much better performing building in itself, you can get a much smaller heat pump and then get into affordable running of that heat pump. So it's complex and it's difficult, but actually, I think if it's done properly and correctly, it can make a big difference. Some of the work's really invasive. Some of it you can get quick wins. So depending on your house style, a bungalow is exceptional. Get in the loft and you can quite easily create a really improved insulation level in a loft in a bungalow. But if you've got a 2 or 3 story property like Eric's, then you're going to have to sort of delve in and do your exterior walls in 2 or 3 different ways. Our old properties that we've done, we've ripped back right to the granite. So we've taken off all the lab and plaster, reframed it. We use as many environmentally sound products as we can. So we use a lot of sheep's wool. We use a lot of sisal, hemp's coming to the fore, wood fibre. All that helps with the property's breathability, keeping it quite traditional. We've also been able to do it without all that demolition work and gone inside your building and built from the lab and plaster inwards. If you have a more modern house, taking off plasterboards, a breeze, and you'll find the frame in there, and it may or may not have had insulation in its past. We did one that was a sort of 80s property, and when we took the plasterboard off of that, they'd used polythene on top of rock wool, which was probably their concept at the time, and it was all black behind there with damp. So all of the work that we do to improve the insulation of your house is always in mind with moisture control. So if we're going to insulate and draft proof your house, you've got to make sure that where you need ventilation, you have it. So Eric's house there, he said he's got ventilation from downstairs all the way up behind his plasterboard. Well, that's fine. If we block all that off, that keeps the inside warm, but we've got to make sure that the house is ventilated. If you've got any damp from stonework or badly built or badly constructed exterior, you've got to make sure that that ventilation is working fine and you're not going to create and trap moisture. So a lot of the modern membranes that we use help with that. So we can membrane the inside of your house and we can membrane the backside between there. So you've got great vapor control under the floor where it's cold and damp. We can control all that moisture movement, keeping your house breathing and dry. Stoves. When we've done all that great work, making your house lovely and airtight, lots of people still want a stove in the northeast for power cut situations or whatever. So we've been replacing stoves with an air intake from external intake. So you're not going to create the situation in your house where you've got the draft coming into your lounge from when you shut the door. You get a nice air intake from outside and the stove burns outside air. So you're not creating drafts. So yeah, there's all sorts. And then the next stage on all that is probably moving towards windows. That's probably not everybody goes that route, but we put triple glazing into our properties if we can, if we're going to that extent. The triple glazing has made a massive difference in the properties we've used it in for controlling the temperatures from inside outside. It's an expensive option, but we've actually done a whole sunroom recently, a triple glazed sunroom, and with some monitoring devices inside and out, you could see that there was no real heat gain coming through the glass door. It was probably 20, 25, 26 outside, and it was still 18 inside the glass. So if you're trying to have a heat pump and you're trying to manage your house, and we're not going through air conditioning and everything else, the triple glazing made a massive difference. So if you think in the winter time as well, keeping that heat loss down. So triple glazing is a great option if that's something you want to do in your house as well. There's a collection of pictures here you can see. So that's sort of an example of a granite wall, and there's our sort of framing and building out into there. That's one of our products that we like to use, Sisal. It's a Sisal Tech product, and you can see some taping going on in there. That's from the membranes below. And if we've created that environment for your heat pump and we've sort of got rid of all your drafts, insulated it, you still need ventilation. And it's not on the list for topics today, but this is the other thing that we add into your property, and it's MVHR unit. So everyone that we've put an MVHR unit into their property would tell you it's been one of the best things that they've ever had. We've got a lady that wasn't one of our projects, but we sort of set the system up for her. She monitors it greatly, and the efficiency of that unit is phenomenal. She works out her energy savings.
MVHR, what is that?
Mechanical ventilation with heat recovery, sorry. So if you've got no drafts and you've got no ventilation in your house, you obviously want some fresh air. So it'll bring that air into your house. It'll expel all the air from your living rooms, your kitchens and your bathrooms, but catch the heat. So your heat coming in is warmed to room temperature, unlike the drafts coming into your house through trickle vents under your door, through your letterbox. And she worked out for the units that she was spending in electricity, she was saving, I think she used about one or two, so it was 100. It was about 100 to 1 she was saving on her electricity. Now she could monitor that because her house is pretty much sealed, airtight. That efficiency goes down if you haven't made an airtight box. But yeah, it makes a really stable environment. So if you've got all that lovely flat heating that you've created from your heat pump, moving the air around there, you don't feel it really drafting around, but it really settles it out around the house. They're a phenomenal bit of kit, and They're easy to fit in a house if it's designed. Most of our properties are retrofit, so we're putting these into a house wasn't designed for. If it's a brand new house, you'll have a plant room and it's easy. But in an old house, it's challenging. You've got to make space for it, but it makes a massive difference. Massive difference. So yeah, that's our sort of in a sort of a small bubble of what we aim to achieve to make your house warmer. But there's no right answer for everyone because each house is very, very, very different. But yeah, probably works out some good question answers would help.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.